In the 1880s, people used to consume content really just over the radio. And all that content came in over the air on your radio waves. So you had all these different channels where you could just get audio-only content that might have been speeches from politicians, or you had sports broadcasting, then you had news, and sometimes even got into broadcast shows that were made for the radio. And then fast forward to when the TV really becomes mass popular in the 1930s, when Westinghouse produced the first one, cost about $20,000 in today's days. And it came in this massive cabinet with this big speaker on the bottom that had all those components in the inside. And that content still came in over the air. But now it was really just video versions of those same radio shows, whether it was a speech with just somebody standing there, or a one camera on sports, news, and then sometimes even shows that were created for TV, but really just with that one camera. In the 40s and 50s, the television was becoming widely adopted, and it moved from this massive cabinet to a smaller cabinet with some dials on the side to tune in different channels, and that content still came in over the air. But then the message started changing. It became developed just for TV, no longer for live audiences, and you saw shows like Meet the Press, The Ed Sullivan Show, and Howdy Doody that people tuned into every week. In the 60s through the 80s, the TVs became full color. They had a remote now, so you didn't have to get up and walk over to your TV to change the channel, and all that content became digital through coax cable. And then the television content itself, the message, had so many channels. There's live events now. You have really great TV shows like I Love Lucy being popular that are using 2 cameras to really create an immersive experience on the TV, and everyone had one of these TVs in their home. Then in the 90s to 2000s, TVs got even cheaper and even bigger and higher definition. So now you have these super HD flat screens. You've got content coming in over the coax cable. You have the option to get satellite that's beaming things from some broadcast station up into a satellite flying around the world, and then throwing that content down to a tiny dish on top of your home. This created the opportunity for millions of channels to come out. And you got international content, channels for everything from cooking to horse racing to baseball, whatever you wanted, it was available 24/7, 365. Today, TVs themselves really haven't changed that much. They've got thinner and higher definition. You have these super 4K HD TVs now, but really the mobile devices are where people are moving their eyes. That's your phone in your pocket, or perhaps your tablet sitting on the couch or in bed with your loved ones. The content still can come in over coax cable to your TVs, but now you see the rise of content coming through online and over Wi-Fi. Then the content itself is now all on demand. Maybe it's just online only, maybe it's streaming or clips or whatever you want. That stuff can come in through Netflix, Hulu, HBO Go, or short clips on YouTube, Vimeo. In the future, who knows what's going to happen? Is it going to be big headsets everyone's going to wear on their head, VR? Is it smart surfaces? Is it augmented reality? Holograms? Who knows? Maybe it's chips in our brain. All that content's going to come in without wires anymore. It's just over Wi-Fi, and maybe it's on really high-speed cellular connections. 4G, we're starting to see 5G, maybe 6G. Who knows what's next? And then that content itself could start becoming really immersive. Maybe it's interactive. Perhaps it's hyper-personalized, knowing everything about you and then changing the content just for you. And more importantly, you can consume it anytime, anywhere.
Back to HTM News, bringing you the updates on all things high-tech marketing. I'm just in time. We've got breaking news. Please hold. This just in. Traditional TV viewership has decreased from 55% to 33% in the past 15 years. 23% of respondents said that they were watching more online or streaming television programming than a year ago. However, 83% are still paying for traditional cable packages, as over-the-top, or OTT, are not yet perfect substitutes for traditional television. There are still many shows in demand that are specific to cable that you can't have access to without paying for a cable package. As you can see from this graphic, cable subscribers are much older. But as the baby boomers become eventually replaced by millennials, this soon will no longer be the case. The latest innovation in television is the introduction of personalized content through OTT services, where you can personalize specific to the customer. We've sent our best reporters out to investigate. Farron is live from the Macomb School of Business. Let's go to her now.
Thanks for that, Rick. My name is Farron Hughes, and I am reporting live on behalf of HTM News at the University of Texas at Austin. I'm here with Karthik Narasimhan, an MBA student, who is a key witness to these changes in the industry.
Sure. I grew up in India, and television was a large part of growing up back then. We had only a couple of channels, and the content there would be, we had programming only for a few hours a day. So essentially, it's not like today where you can watch whatever you want. It was what they wanted us to watch, and not every family would have a television, and mine was, I was lucky enough to have one growing up. So essentially, the television was like this thing, mystical thing around which the whole family crowds around in the evening to watch the content. And I remember vividly, especially on Fridays, there would be 30 minutes of non-stop Bollywood songs, and growing up, that was a big thing. Like, people would finish their work, run back home so that they can watch that 30 minutes of songs. And my neighbors would all come over because we had a color TV at home, and it would become like a social gathering. So that was a large part of growing up. And then in the 90s, cable TV came in, and after that, there was like this explosion of the number of channels, the variety, and choice. And since then, things have changed so much, and today you can't even like compare what we had in the past to what we have today on the airwaves in India, because there are like hundreds of channels and a lot of choices. I'll be honest, I don't watch a lot of TV on TV. I watch a lot of content on my laptop. So that itself kind of defines the relationship of millennials with television, I guess. So TV has kind of permeated all our lives, and I think it's a great medium, but the way we consume the content has changed a lot. And today we watch things on the go, and you essentially try to watch what you want. You have a lot of choice, and the way I look at where TV is today is like there's a lot of great programming out there, and there's a lot of choice as well.
Specified.
So content now is so personalized. I think that's the age that we are living in. Content specialization and like personalization to every individual. So you can't imagine like growing up, as I was mentioning, there was a couple of channels, and on Sundays they would show a Bollywood movie, and that movie was what the entire nation of 1 billion watched. Can you imagine that today, like 1 billion people watching one movie at the same time? Like, it's unimaginable. Like, people don't even watch the same movie in the same household anymore. Like, each of us watch a different movie on different platforms, and I think that's where we are today in our engagement with TV. It's very personalized depending on what we want to watch at whichever time point of the day that we want to watch it. So it's I think a very personalized. Interesting. I think TV kind of is trying to stay relevant, especially because there's an explosion of information out there. There are web series, there's news has all moved online, and newspapers struggle to keep up with time. Similarly, I think TV would face the same challenge. How do we stay relevant in this day when people have so much choice? Why would I even watch something on a TV when I can watch it online, which is much easier? So I think that would be TV's biggest challenge in the future. They've done a good job so far by moving a lot of their content online, like how HBO and like Hulu and all of these provide TV content online. So they've done that, but why do we even need TV channels still if we can just directly host it online? That is one thing that I think they would need to consider. But also, I think the hardware of a television hasn't changed much. The TV is still like pretty much been the same. It's gotten flatter and lighter, but yeah, you essentially still sit in front of a TV and watch it. But maybe the hardware would change where you don't really even need a screen anymore. Maybe it'll become like a ultra small, sleek little box through which you can project it on your wall or a ceiling and watch. Like, I don't know. I think the hardware part of the whole system could also go through a lot of change.
And this just in, Rick Clemens is also at the Macomb School of Business. Let's go to him now.
Hi, we're here at the Macomb School of Business, and we're about to interview Jim Nolan, professor here, to find out his thoughts on history of television and where television is going. All right, see you there.
Well, first of all, we had one television, and my father was the one that kind of decided what we watched. And there was a long time that I thought my purpose in life was the remote control to go over there and turn the channel, because there weren't remote controls back then. We had only 4 network stations. I mean, I grew up in Houston, so even a fairly large city like Houston had 4 or 5 channels maybe. And the first time we got a remote control, it was a pretty big deal. Then when cable came and we got clearer channels and more channels, then, and then as my father kind of moved up in middle class, had more than one television, it kind of got a little better. But yeah, much different now. I have 7 televisions, all flat screens, going from 23-inch in the kitchen to 60 inches in the family room and bedroom. Well, I mean, I've got the best quality picture and the best, with digital and all of that, the best quality I've ever had, and absolutely nothing I want to watch. The only thing I watch is probably sports. I don't like watching sports after it's already happened. Do subscribe to Netflix, into the interactive kind of TV kind of things. My cable bill is outrageous, and I was probably in the top 200 first installers of Roadrunner. So I was an early adopter of broadband, so I've kind of stayed with cable because of that. So I could see going to where I just pick the channels that I want to watch. Mine would be easy. I could get the cable down. The question is whether I can get it down for my wife. They're going to have to do a lot more on virtual reality. I mean, wearing some big headset or something like that is not something. I don't even like going to 3D movies because I have to wear glasses. I mean, if you made it where I could see 3D without have to wear any kind of apparatus, I'm in. But until that changes and they make that a little bit more efficient, I'm not that big into.
I'm getting a report that Pat Swelgen is also at the Macomb School of Business. Let's go to him now.
This is field reporter Pat Swelgen. We're here live at the Macomb School of Business Marketing.
You can't be here. This is a closed floor. No interviews on Friday. No interviews on Friday.
I grew up watching television. I joke the way God intended it. When I grew up, there were 4 channels. There was the 3 networks, and there was PBS, and it was on a 13-inch color television. And that was the extent of my television viewing experience.
What kind of programming was on there?
The ones that you sort of remember. There was on PBS, Captain Kangaroo, and Sesame Street, and regular network television. We're watching MASH, and I'll admit Dynasty, and those sort of serialized television shows from the 80s.
Do you remember what kind of television you had?
It was no, but it was. I remember distinctly. It was a 13-inch. It was the classic melamine white plastic box with rabbit ears on top of it. So that was it.
Cool. And how do you watch TV today?
So I was reflecting on that because I knew you were asking these questions. We have one television that's not even connected to the cable. It's all internet enabled, and I was reflecting how my kids watch it. You pull up Netflix, you pull up Amazon, you search for what you're looking for. The number of shows that you can watch is remarkable, and so that's how sometimes we watch television. Other ways we watch television is on still connected to the cable box, but we have remote control. It's not a tube television, so it's changed a lot, and not to date myself, because that wasn't that long ago when we had small televisions, no remote controls.
With the dial and everything.
Yeah, with the dial, and you'd have to tune it in, and sometimes there was a UHF channel that you could try to pull in on accident. So,
how does the way that your kids consume television differ from how you do?
It's on demand, right? So that's what's amazing. So you have this menuing system. So we would, and I think the distinction, the word would be the difference between content and programming. So when I watched the TV as a kid, it was programming. So you turn it on, there was going to be prime time, there was going to be the A-Team, then there was going to be something else after that. And now you were a passive consumer, and now my kids understand it's content. This show is going to come on, they can search for it, and then they get recommendations about, we can also watch this because we like these shows. And so there's just a lot more choices for them, but also a lot more content for them to watch wherever they want it, however they want it, right? They can watch it on their small screen, they can watch it on the television. And I think it also, for us, for our family, because we don't watch a lot of television, it allows us that when we typically watch it on a Friday night, we're going to watch television together, so we can search or have a plan for it and watch it on demand when we want to watch it, pause it, watch it later. So it's a lot more of sort of consumer driven, I think, rather than sort of the media driven experience.
Cool. And what are you excited about, or what do you see as the future of television?
So people talk about this is the golden age of television, and whether that's because the choices have exploded, but certainly there's some of the content is really high quality. And it's amazing who's producing high quality, whether it's Netflix or whether it's HBO doing some really high quality serialized, docudrama sort of things. So I'm excited about that. The quality seems to be better than maybe some of the stuff that I watched when I was a kid. I also think that measurement is going to be very interesting. So how do people interact? How do we measure those things? Where people are consuming? Because it's not just watching it in front of the television at the 8 o'clock hour. How do I measure when you're watching the show or YouTube clips of Saturday Night Live on your phone? Because that's still content that's being created by the television networks, and how are they monetizing that? And I think that's so. I'm not excited about that. I'm interested to see what happens. Right? How do people make money for their creative work in the future?
Okay, and what do you see about the hardware you're using to consume it? Do you think that's going to change?
Someone would tell you it's you're going to be watching it on your eyeglasses, but I think the screen, the size of the screen is what's happening, right? So the televisions themselves have blown up, so now I can get an 80-inch television and mount it on my wall and watch something there. But I also think that people are watching it on smaller screens too. So when I work out on the elliptical, I watch TV on an iPad. So it's not exactly big screen format. Or some people, I don't watch television on a phone. That seems too small for me, but I know a lot of people do. So the devices, I think, will get bigger for the experiential viewing, and will get smaller for the on-demand. I want to fill time or watch something while I'm on the train or something like that. So
cool. And have you seen anything interesting? And you talked a lot about how people are going to monetize their content. That's about like advertising and tracking. And
right.
What are some of the interesting things you've seen people do?
In terms of monetizing it, I'm at a loss right now to understand exactly how Netflix is paying for all this high quality, because they're creating high quality content, and I'm curious to understand if they think they're going to make it all on subscription, and then it would suggest that either other people are charging you too much for the content or they're charging you too little. So I don't know if I've seen someone figure that out. Maybe the other untapped potential is I can track people's behavior more, and so they can make it more attractive to other advertisers and give a better profile. But I haven't seen, it's certainly broken the existing system, right? Because people skip commercials. The idea of people watching commercials is very different than it used to be. So I don't have a good answer for that, where it's going to head to, other than the fact that something different will have to happen, I guess, soon.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Hi, are you a broadcast network tired of losing market share and making money the old-fashioned way? Or a consumer tired of scrolling through all those channels just trying to find something you like? Well, I've got a solution for you. For the amazing price of $19.99, I'll provide you with exclusive content explaining how the innovation is changing the typical revenue model of television. And just to sweeten the deal, I'll give you a sneak preview of this exclusive content right now. Right now. Right now!
The emergence of digital over-the-top, or OTT, television services such as Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon Prime Video has changed the revenue model and the relationships between the players in the industry. Boston Consulting Group analysts expect OTT to grow from approximately 10% of total U.S. video industry value capture in 2014 to 20% by 2018. A percentage that represents more than $30 billion in revenues. The primary competitive advantage enjoyed by top distributors comes from their investment in infrastructure and their ability to reach consumers in the last mile. This advantage is due to the high upfront investment costs and time required for a new entrant to build up and scale a delivery system for a sizable number of users, creating high barriers to entry. The large cable TV operators have enjoyed maximum value capture in the industry through their near monopolies in the space. online video delivery has removed the barriers to entry, and new entrants providing internet TV and OTT video have created viable alternatives to traditional distributors. The growth of Netflix, which has more subscribers than any other pay TV provider, is evidence of the rise of the OTT video model. This rise has led distributors to start dropping certain cable networks when those networks' value as a source of subscriber acquisition and retention ceases to outweigh the cost of carrying them. As consumers become more conscious of the price-to-value ratio in television viewing, the days of simply passing network license fee increases to consumers is coming to an end. This change has led to increased tension between cable networks and distributors.
Today we have an epic battle shaping up, a fight for the ages, a fight for attention, a fight for entertainment. In one corner, the challengers, content creators. These are the up-and-comers, hailing from everywhere from YouTube, Netflix, Amazon, even from the studio's own backyard, switching teams just for this fight. Their strategy today is definitely going to be going around the distributors as much as possible. They can go over the top of the internet and around the channel bundles, both of which should get them closer to the consumer.
In the other corner, we have the traditional distributors, the incumbents, the cable companies and the satellite providers of the world. These guys have won a bunch of fights so far. Definitely have the most experience and definitely have the relationships they need to win. Some of these distributors own their own content creators too. And bundling that with other channels means they can control the fight and traction.
Are you ready? Let's get it on!
That doesn't mean the cable companies won't go without a fight. The incumbent shifts back, skirts around the edge, trying to reposition in the international markets. Ooh, ouch, damn. The content creators rapidly move forward, gaining ground in the exposed market. The incumbent comes in. I haven't seen anything this good since Pat Swelling fought Rick last year. Ouch. Oh, ooh, I like that one. That's a Kevin Williams punch right there. Going around distributors means creators can grow their margins and control the consumer experience as well as all the data that creates.
Also true. So distributors' best bet is going to be to fight in an arena of their choosing. Perhaps we'll see them going into an international market stance, where the satellite provider offense will be particularly effective when attacking areas with little existing infrastructure. Then they can use their monopoly power to go for the knockout.
Even if they do, content creators may be able to force distributors into a dumb pipe roll, forcing submission and relegation to the junior league.
Distributors might even be okay with that, taking advantage of their opponent's momentum to boost themselves.
Either way, we're going to have to see who advertisers come out in favor of. That could tilt the battle significantly in anyone's direction. We'll just have to wait and see. The content creator has a few tricks up his sleeve. Look at that 5G. Ooh, and that's a low blow for the cable companies. We've really seen the growth of Over the Top this past year. He has more fans than any other fighter out there.
Whoa. Where am I? What year is this? 2020! 25? Holy sh! What am I wearing? Huh. I guess we all wear black lycra in the future. What are these? Oh. These are awesome. Ew. Oh. Love this show. This is exactly what I wanted to watch. How did it know? I wonder what else is
Welcome to Nerve. Are you a watcher or a player? Are you a watcher or a player? Are you a watcher, player, watch player?